Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Magic the Gathering Paper Legacy Invitational for March of 2026. I am one of your hosts, Mirror. Here with me today is my other host, Jordan, aka Jack Dax. Jordan, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good, doing good. Excited for some awesome games of Legacy. I mean, we've got a very interesting matchup for our first round. We got Lunar, one of our newer players, on Blue Red Affinity Stompy versus Saltymoles, another one of our newer players, who is on Jeskai Wizards. Very interesting matchup for me. Jeskai Wizards was just powered by the new um, Thundertrap trainer from Bloomborough. It is a very, very cool list with a finisher of fourth Aerlingus. So I'm excited to see if they will be able to pull off that finisher.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of cool different kind of techs going on in the Jeskai Wizards deck. Sometimes you see them with the Boomerang Basic Storm Chasers talent package, even. Um, you know, Sometimes you see them still playing some Snapcaster Mages, harkening back to the days of 2011, 2012, Miracles Legacy era. So a lot of cool cards kind of popping up in those lists. Also, Flame of Anor being a really important piece of the puzzle here. Modal, you know, destroys artifacts, kills creatures, draws cards, kind of does everything that a control deck wants to do, right? So, um, looks like we have salty moles on the play. Players appear to be resolving mulligans right now. Um, so Jordan, talk to me a little bit about this affinity deck too. So I know that this deck has existed in a couple of different iterations, and you know, this new one is certainly playing with some interesting new cards.
Sure. So let me just pull up the visual deck list for our viewers at home. As we can see, we've got all the deck lists set up, ready to go. You're going to see some cool stuff. But that Affinity deck list really got powered up by Edge of Eternities with the Pinnacle Emissary. It's a ton of fun, seeing all the stuff that you can do. Of course, you're seeing the classic Kappa Cannoneer, Patchwork Automaton, beatdown plan. But I'm really excited to see this for Lunar just because of the Urza Sagas I've heard about. They have a full
Yes.
playset of Urza Sagas. So
Yes.
it's the Sword Champs. This is supposed to be a very pretty deck. It looks like we're
Yes.
starting off with a turn one Ponder, the
Yep.
classic uh, Jeskai control kind of variant of tap tap that Tundra into a Ponder, as we call Ponder Keep.
Yep, Island Ponder Keep. In this matchup, we don't really have to necessarily worry as much about wastelands, so it's easier and more comfortable to deploy those dual lands. Post board, that's going to look a little different, obviously, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So, looks like from uh, Lunar, we have an Ancient Tomb. Just pulling up life totals on the phone there, which is fine. Um, Ancient Tomb down to 18 into what? Chalice on one.
Chalice on one, the classic.
Classic, classic turn one play. Looks like it's resolving. Might strand a couple of cards here in the Jeskai player's hand. So, offhand, I don't believe that they have any main board ways to remove that from the board. If I remember correctly from the deck list, we can double check that after, but I'm pretty sure that's a very difficult card outside of Flame of Anor to
Outside
get
of
rid
Flame
of
of
in this
Venor,
matchup.
yes.
So,
I think Flame of Venor is pretty much the only way to get rid of it at the time,
yep.
unless they were running
All right.
prismatic endings, which I don't believe they have any in their list.
Yeah, Thunder Trap Trainer coming down, revealing a Force of Will off the top. Technically, we do have to randomize those bottom cards when they go to the bottom of the library, but we're not super worried about that. I think in this scenario, I don't think the game is going to get to that point. Um, but yeah,
Ooh, the traditional
so let's
Urza
see.
Sagas,
Untap
not
upkeep draw into
the
Saga.
not the full one. I
Is that
think we were mistaken it for Anders' list. I think Ander is the one with the full foil list, so
yes?
we may see
Ander is
them
the one
later.
with the sagas. Yep,
That is my
Ander is the
mistake.
one with the really interesting painter list that we'll take a look at later. So, all right, Patchwork Automaton coming down.
Hmm.
Very efficient beater from the Neon Dynasty set. For those familiar with it,
And of course, those
Lotus
familiar
Petal.
with
Yep,
Lotus Petal into the Patchwork Automaton. We're getting our triggers here. This can be very scary really, really quick.
yep. Definitely a very efficient scaling threat. The earlier that you stick a card like that, the higher impact that it is, right? And the harder it's going to be to remove with damage-based spells, especially. So, thankfully, Wizards does play copies of Swords to Plowshares, so that will be removable. We have an Emery coming in. It is being forced. We're
Force
shipping it
pitching
back.
3 mana to Fairy. That was a classic card, I think, in that terms of War of the Spark. 3 mana to Fairy coming in. I remember all the hubbub about that. They were always mad about the fact that, like, oh, 3 mana to Fairy, I can't do anything on opponent's turns.
Yep.
This is not fair. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I do remember that. That was certainly a time. Uh, only the beginning of our problems, I think, our permanent based problems. So
Truly, legacy change for well, I don't know if we can say the better or the worse, but it changed a lot during that era, and it looks like we're
I think that
fetching up
I
a
think that during
volcanic.
that era was a little bit of a rough era because at the same time you had decks that were coming out like, Initiative started to pop up. 8 cast came out in its first variation, which was very problematic for a while. Um, Here we have
Flame of
Flame of
Anor with the
Anor.
wizard, with the wizard.
We've
So
got the
we're gonna
two
get a
modes
choice of two
going on
modes.
here.
My
I'm
assumption
gonna
is
assume here
it's
we're gonna
destroy
do, yeah,
artifact.
yep, destroy Chalice Draw 2 was
Yeah,
my guess there because there's no point in trying to target the Patchwork Automaton because it's just gonna get countered ultimately. So
the classical word. That's a very, very unique mechanic. I actually like it a lot. They've been pushing it more and more forward, and I think it's an interesting play design space as it is kind of
yep.
like mini hexproof, but not exactly.
Yeah, I think that it's a healthier design than Hexproof, and definitely healthier than with a healthier design of Shroud, right? So, um,
Anything's healthier than a shroud. Let me tell you on that.
yeah, yeah, for
It
sure.
looks like we're just swinging in
Looks
for
like,
three.
yep, patches crack for 3. We've got a bauble. I wonder when we're going to be cracking this. Scalding Tarn into play. Looks like we're kind of hitting the tank here a little bit.
I mean, you do have some very interesting decision trees to make on Salty side. Jeskai Wizards is
Yeah,
a very interesting list. I'm more familiar with it sort of on the vintage end because you get to play a lot of Storm Chasers in vintage just because of Luris PO. But in
yep,
Legacy side, you kind of get a lot of interesting um, factors to come into play with the Snapcasters and the Storm Chasers talents. Just the Snapcasters and the Storm Chasers just going for the whole thing. So it just really depends. Sorry, Thunder Trap
yeah,
Trainer. I'm always confused when it comes to Storm Chasers. I've played too much Standard in my time.
yeah. So we might have a Swords to Plowshares here.
Ooh, a
Yep,
nice.
Swords to Plowshares targeting the Patchwork Automaton. We're going to see a ward trigger here that Salty is presumably going to pay for. Let's see if we have a force.
I believe that is the Swords of Plowshare. What is that from the vault? 20.
As the, yep, from the Vault 20, I
Yeah,
believe, is that print.
we should be gaining about
So, yep,
3 life here, going back
resolving
up to
it.
19, right?
Yep, we have, yep, being that it was a 3/3, yep, he'll be going back up to 19. Being attacked by the Thunder Trainer down to 18 here, I believe.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I wonder when we're going to use the bubble.
Oh,
That is.
we might not be taking damage here. We might be activating the
Oh,
Urza Saga in response to create a blocker.
all right. Yeah, we got a 2/2 blocker.
Yep,
That is.
maybe a misplay if we don't have a second plow, but if we have a second plow, not a bad play.
Oh,
Yep, second plow for
second
the
plow.
construct so we can push some damage through.
So we're going to 17 up to
Interesting.
19 to back down to 18
Hmm.
again. This is a very
Yep.
funny board state to be.
Yeah. Hmm. All right, we're in an interesting spot here for sure. I wonder if we're going to crack Bobble just to try to get some more, in the tank here.
Yeah, and
Random
interesting
card from
enough
the
for
hand.
those who are familiar, this is not a this is not Mishra's Bobble. We got Urza's Bobble. It's a little different. You got to target an opponent, and they actually have to have a hand. So,
Yep.
little different.
Yep. Revealing a force off of the Bobble. Saga on 3. Decision point here.
Do we
Are we
float the
making
mana,
another
or do we
construct or are
make
we
a construct? Is the real question. And I think we're making that construct. I mean,
for a construct here? Yep.
doesn't
For
seem
the
like we have
16.
much to do.
Yeah. I don't think that there's a reason to get something like Opal here. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw something like, Shadow Spear or even Skateboard in this situation. But we might see, Mox Opal just get some blue mana on the board, or even Lotus Petal if we don't have additional artifacts in the hand here.
It
Take a
looks like
look
we're
at the
still
hand
tanking
again.
on this. This is a big
Yeah.
question. I mean, if we get Mox Opal, it's not online yet. You need 2 more artifacts. You get
Hmm.
Epiphany Needle if you're really scared of, certain activations. But
Yep.
I doubt that's gonna be relevant here. Not that I
Yeah,
think
we
about
could
it.
name it against Caracas here to prevent Emery bounces, which is not terrible.
Yeah,
But I don't know that Pithing Needle is gonna be the relevant card in this situation. I
yeah.
think that the problem that we're running into right now is that Lunar's source of colored mana, if he's got blue cards in his hand, it was Lotus Petal. So
Oh, we're getting lava boots.
um, we've got Lava Spur Boots. Okay.
Can't do much with it right now, but it is there. It is
All
an
right,
artifact.
now.
It is generating at least more. We're gonna take
Sinking
two
a Stupor
damage.
for blue. Yep, equip to the construct, attack for 3. Goes into 13.
And for our viewers at home, they did shock in, or actually, technically, they bolted themselves to get the sink and the super other side. We are just being lazy about flipping it over, but everyone knows what we're talking about here. And of
Yep.
course, we see another plow. This is a little
Third Swords to
annoying.
Plowshares. Gotta pay the 1. Gonna be gaining 3 off of this, go to 16. Well, the good thing about this Affinity deck, though, is that it has such a high threat density in that its lands produce threats, right? So that's definitely a very useful thing for this deck to have. A lot of its threats, kind of protect themselves with Ward, making the removal pretty inefficient mana-wise. But we'll see where it goes from here. There's a lot of pretty live top decks, I think, from this deck, especially with the boots on board.
Yeah, it's
We could
very
go,
interesting.
Emery equip the boots, tap, activate flashback and artifact. That's a powerful play that I could see coming out of this deck here in a minute.
Especially with the Jeskai deck deploying 3 Swords of Plowshares and 1 Flame of Anor, we're not running very hot on terms of cards that we have left.
No, exactly. Pinnacle Emissary, one of the newer cards from Edge of Eternities, creates an artifact spell, or creates a 1/1 drone that flies that cannot block.
How are we
Every time you cast an
casting
artifact
this?
spell.
Is a question that
So
I
we are
have.
casting it for its warp cost, which is an
Ah,
alternate cost.
yep.
You can cast it from your hand for a cheaper cost at the cost of it being exiled at the end of the turn, and then you can cast it from exile on a later turn for its regular mana cost. Notably, can't warp a card if it's not in your hand.
Yeah, it's pretty notable. And also, we're going down to 11 to name something on Needle. We don't know yet. We'll
Yep.
see what
We're gonna
we'll
assume.
see what
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna get.
assume Caracas here. With open deck lists, I'm sure that Lunar is aware that his opponent is not playing Wasteland. Naming Flooded Strand, interesting.
That is a pick.
Very interesting pick. It prevents some of those shuffles off of Brainstorms here, which we haven't seen any yet, but... Oh, use the extra mana from the tomb to equip the Lava Spur Boots to the Emissary for additional power. 4th Swords to Plowshares. They're all gone. Wow.
Yeah, we are running low on resources here at this point.
Yeah. The Wizards player, running out of removal. Snapcaster Mages, I believe, in the list, so, not totally down and out yet, but Salty Moles in I believe, kind of a top deck situation. I think 2 cards in hand right now.
Yeah, I believe we're in a weird situation where we have all 4 of our swords, but as you said, we do have Snapcasters, which we
Yep.
often forget.
Yep.
Looks like we're going to start off with a Ponder. It's a bit questionable. We're pondering. Wait a minute.
Oh,
That
what are
was
we doing here?
Prismatic Ending. I was wondering what was going on. That is actually
Oh,
a Prismatic Ending.
prismatic ending on the drone token.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is entirely my fault.
Got
I
a
did not
real
understand the foil that we were
real
seeing.
critical mass of removal here. Another chalice on 1 going to 9.
Yep.
Or going to 12, sorry.
I will see if this resolves. I believe we saw a Force of Will at one point, and I don't
Yep.
think it's been used. So
Yeah.
maybe Salty didn't want to force it. I don't know. That's a bit of a question, but that could also mean there's another Prismatic, and that is a dead
Sure.
Flooded Strand.
That is a dead flooded strand. We cannot be fetching with that. We are poking for 1. This Thundertrap Trainer going the distance.
All you need is 20 more swings, or 13 more swings in this case.
Yeah, just a couple, just a few,
Unfortunately, I have died to enough Thundertrap Trainers in my day. I've died to it in Vintage many, many times. Sometimes that's just how you
I
do it.
think that, yeah, dying to a Thundertrap Trainer is no different than dying to an untapped or an unflipped Delver, right?
Yep.
So, that's pretty much the same deal going on.
Oh, we got the Kappa.
We've got Kappa. This is a Force of Will moment. If we've got a blue card in hand, we need
We
to
are
pitch it
definitely
now.
forcing it. We are.
Force pitch Snapcaster. We are hell bent, I believe, on the Wizards player side. This is where Affinity can turn the corner.
Oh, that is a resource we can actually use.
Yep.
At the
We
very
have now
least.
unlocked. We have now unlocked Hardcast Force of Will. Powerful.
See, the question here is, do we hold it up and potentially use blue mana for something? Oh, we got another Kappa.
Second Kappa.
Good
Second
lord.
Kappa. We're coming in.
I really hope you found the right card.
Yep.
I mean, if that was Brainstorm off the top, that you theoretically could be in a good position, but I doubt it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Saltymoles can beat this Kappa here.
I
I
don't
think
think
this
so.
might be it. So this is one turn clock. That's I don't think there's a single top deck that gets him out of this situation if Lunar has another artifact here.
Um, I mean,
Because there's no
fourth
more
Aerlingus, I
plows.
think, is like the only thing that saves off the bleeding.
Oh, fourth will not kill though. That'll get him to two.
Yeah.
We've got a chalice check here.
Ah, I completely forgot about this. I
Yep.
completely forgot about the challenge. Whoopsie daisies.
Great work from Lunar announcing that trigger here. We've got the unblockable, so even if he's got a
And
flash
yep.
blocker, that's it. That is game one. Goes to Lunar. Fantastic play from both sides. I love the desperation brainstorm in an attempt to chalice check here. I think that's, I mean, pretty much the only play that you have in that situation, right? So looking at the boards, what do we think is going to be coming in from the Affinity players side? Jeskai Wizards a surprisingly creature dense deck for being as control heavy as it is. I'm doubting that we're going to see any dismembers or anything like that come in, but what are your thoughts?
I imagine we're going to probably see the Disruptor Flutes and the Force Negations. I can't
Hmm.
really imagine anything else. The Tormod's Crypt, maybe. I mean, just for the
Yeah.
Snapcasters. But
Yep.
it really, really depends. Honestly, I think the Disruptor Flutes are the most logical choices, while you're probably getting
Yes.
rid of a couple of the like shaving of a certain thing or two. I mean, it
Yeah.
really just depends on what we're going to be looking at in terms of how much we want to go fast versus not fast. I think force
Yep.
negation is necessary just because we saw those plows. We need to hold up
Yeah.
that threat density.
Yeah. We need a way to counter those for sure. Um,
And then I guess from the wizard side, let's just double check and see what we got on the wizard
Yeah.
side.
So I think that sorry, just to circle back on the Affinity, I was just typing to our spotter, table spotter really quickly. Um I think that actually it's probably correct to bring in the pithing needle, being that this deck does play Tameo. I think that the disruptor flutes are really important as well. And I think that instead of players can look at deck lists while sideboarding. Yes, they can.
Yes, they can. That is a question that came
Um
from our spotter, but yes, they can. It's just like a competitive event where everyone knows the deck list. Between games, yes, you can definitely look just to make sure.
yeah, absolutely. And then I think that we might actually see dismembers. I personally am of the opinion that I think that the forces are a little weak in the control matchups. I think that the removal is relevant in the event that the other player boards in cards like Lavinia, right? I think that the dismember becomes increasingly more relevant if we see that there's a Lavinia. Um, so I don't know if he's gonna board like that. I hope he does. Let's see. From the Wizards player, I think that the Lavinias and the Null Rod are almost a guarantee.
Do you think it's Lavinia? I actually think the guarantee is Wrath of Skies.
I think Wrath of the Skies, I think there's a lot that this deck can do here. I think that, I don't think the forces are correct. You've got a dress down, you've got Lavinias for the 0 mana artifacts, which I believe that there
And
are.
consigns. We can't forget about the
And
consigns.
consigns, yep.
Really, really relevant things.
I think that there are 24 zero cost spells in Affinity, or spells that can be played for 0. So I think that Lavinia is probably pretty strong. I think that the normal route is necessary. I think that the Wrath of the Skies is necessary. I think that some number of Red Blasts is probably a benefit in terms of a cheap, efficient counter for Kappa Cannoneer. And I think that Dress Down is good. And I think the Consign is good. I think that this player just really doesn't want to lose to artifacts. That's
No,
what I'm
100%.
getting
I
from this
mean,
board.
there's so many good choices here. I mean, you can even put in the Magus of the Moon that's kind of hidden back there. I think Dress Down is definitely the choice I'd be bringing
Yeah.
in just because
Yep.
all the artifacts that we're making, they're constructs, tokens wise. I mean, shaving
Yeah.
wise, I would probably hit up the Force Wills and most likely the Spell Pierces. They're just not that great.
Yeah, I think even the back to basics is probably a little weak here. I think that it's just, the deck plays a lot of non-basic lands, but also produces a lot of mana off of 0 mana artifacts, right? So after a certain point, the lands are not really relevant. If you play Affinity, you know that after a certain point of the game, if you're not activating Saga, you're not usually using your lands to, deploy a Kappa for full value. You're usually tapping things that have been established on the board instead of your lands anyway. So I wouldn't be too upset if I saw some of those come out. I think that the Force of Wills and the Spell Pierces come out in this matchup. I think that against Stompy decks, it's better to just remove the threat than it is to expend more resources to stop it before it hits the board, if that makes sense. So
No, for
that's my
sure.
perspective. But I think that the rest of the deck looks pretty good. But I don't know if the Wizards player, if Saltymoles can actually put all of those cards in. I have a hard time seeing him being able to cut everything.
Yeah,
to
no,
fit
it's
all
a
of those
it's a
good cards
really
in.
tricky situation. I think you cut the forces and the spell pierces and the back to basics, and then you're up to the double dress. You're up to two Downs main now, maybe a
Yep.
Magus, most likely in the Null Rod, and then the Wrath of
Yep.
Skies, and maybe one consign. It's just
One
really
to two
tricky.
blasts.
You might
I
have to
think maybe like
shave too.
yeah, for sure. Looks like we're getting into round two now, so we'll see how these players sideboarded. Um, Not sure if they're gonna, sometimes we have the players side chat their mulligan or their sideboarding decisions over to our table spotter. Um, so we get a little bit of insight in terms of how they approach the matchup. It's not likely that multiple players will sideboard in the same matchup the same way unless they have specifically like a guide to do it. Um, so hearing the justification for some of the decisions that they're making, I find is a really interesting part of the game in general. So curious to see what their thoughts are on that. Um, but yeah, we are resolving mulligans here. Saltymoles is going to be on the play. Um, Affinity looking very, very powerful. I think at this particular invitational, I think that the amount of pressure that it can apply on the early turns in terms of the number of live top decks that it has are fantastic. I love this deck though. I've loved this deck for a long time.
I think it was really powerful when it first came out. I remember a lot of the candidate decks being struggled with a bunch of different players saying it was broken. I remember calls for bans at one point, but it seems like we're in a very healthy place with it where it is very solid when it gets its plan on, but if it doesn't draw right or it falls into the wrong field or even like runs against the wrong combo deck, it has a lot of punish
Yeah.
involved. And
Yep.
again, I think
Definitely has the
we would be remiss to like not talk about the fact that this is our invitational, that these players are from our community, and they're two new players of our community, which is great to see.
yes.
Always good to see. And then, of course, I mean, the question we always get is the invitational. What is it, and how do you qualify? Um, I think you can cover that, Mirror. I mean, you've played in one before, I
Yes, I
believe, and I've commentated way too many of them. So
actually I have not played in an invitational
really,
before, but I became a moderator before I did that, and moderators are not eligible to play in the
uh,
invitational except for in extenuating circumstances like player coverage and things like that. But the invitational is a series that we have stood up again very recently. Brought it back last year, last May. You can qualify for it by playing in our leagues, winning our leagues, playing in our weekly day warrior events on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, or on Thursdays now for our European weekday warrior series at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock p.m. Central European Time. Huge shout outs to community member Streaksu for that, who has played in some of these invitationals before. But yeah, so a couple of different ways to qualify for those. Looks like our game has kind of gotten started with a chalice on one. Um,
yeah, it was a
Buck.
chalice on one. We had a response with consign, and then we had forced backup for the chalice. So the chalice resolved, and this is a really strict kind of situation for Salty, where most of your deck is offline. You're gonna have to wait till you get to 3 mana to do Flame and Anor at this point,
Yep.
really. And the
Yep.
brutal Mixer's Bubble. Ah, this is
Mishra's Bubble and Urza Saga on
mm,
two again. So we've got so much momentum here from Lunar already. Just threatening the pithing needle, making you fetch immediately. Double fetch.
and I'm not surprised at this double fetch. I imagine we'll probably get a Plains and maybe our Mountain
Yeah, I think Plains
potentially.
Mountain here makes a lot of sense.
Could also be double planes into a blue. Oh, no, we're going for the
All.
volcanic. Makes
Mhm.
sense. I mean, even if you turn off the Volk, it's still a mountain at the end of the day, so nothing too crazy there.
Yep.
And at least we still have two prismatic endings main board, assuming we didn't board them out. So this chalice isn't too bad, but it really just
Hmm.
depends.
Yeah, I think we may be seeing Magus of the Moon here.
Flame of Anor.
No Flame of Anor, so we've got one mode, destroy target artifact.
Yep.
Pop that chalice. Ponders and Brainstorms unlocked.
For
Legacy
now.
Gaming once more.
For now. And we're gonna bobble an end step, I imagine, here.
Yep.
They did fan out their
This is a
cards because
tricky
they
one
thought it was Mother
sometimes for
Bubbles.
players to figure out how do
Yeah.
we do it. Usually they flip it up and look away from the camera. That is a null rod on the top. That is
Yeah.
danger. So we have two draws here from Lunar.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Saga going to two. Thankfully, he's, might not necessarily have to worry too much about that null rod if there is not enough removal for the constructs that are going to be coming off of this Urza Saga.
Yeah, and interesting to
But in the
note, you
meantime,
kind of don't care about the Norrod if you make constructs, just because
yep,
you're just putting them down and you don't actually want to crack them. You want to keep them for your construct being big. So it'll be very interesting to see how that turns out.
absolutely. So shock in, Volt in, a sink in, a stupor. Ursus Bauble. I believe that we have a consign to memory in the hand at this time. That's my guess as to why he does that. We have Ursus Bauble. Oh, Kappa Cannoneer?
It could be. We could be in a fun situation. Oh, Emery.
Emery.
Emery. Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
And we're gonna see the little mill action that we get with Emery. It looks like the only target potentially is Bobble, from what I saw.
Well, we have,
Oh,
I
Lobster as
think that we
well.
have Lava Spare Boots. Yep. So the Null Rod is going to be coming down here. We do not have blue mana. I think that there was a Kappa Cannoneer in the graveyard as well.
I did not see what the blue card was. It could have been, or it could have been another thing. I'm not sure.
Yep.
We're gonna ponder the classic blue magic player move of I need to see what's on the top of my library, and we like it. I mean, Norrod is pretty nice that we saw. So
That was a pretty quick putting back of that card too. So,
hey, sometimes you
you
just
know,
have that top three and it's like this is gas. I don't care.
yep, yep. Plays out a Strand here. I'll make sure to put that Ponder in the graveyard. Yep. One of the Secret Lair Ponders. Pretty good art. We've got a Swords to Plowshares on the Emery. Good call. That card spirals out of control quite quickly.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've seen the power in multiple formats. I mean, we saw not too long ago, actually. I know it was big in Modern where there was like an Is It Artifacts deck that came back, and everyone was really surprised by it. So I know I'm talking about a
Yes.
lot of different formats, but I play pretty much every format. So I love poking little holes into cards that are multi-format all-stars at this point.
Yep, for sure. Emery seen a lot of play across a couple of different formats for sure. Looks like we're fetching into a Tundra here. Got some pretty good mana going on.
That we do. We do finally have our double white, so we can do Wrath of the Skies if needed. And we're going to do the Null Rod, which, understandable. Understandable. I imagine we're just going to activate Urza Saga on end step.
Yeah, if we are not cracking these baubles, I do believe that we are going to see a Kappa Cannoneer this coming turn. My guess.
Yeah, no, that would make the most sense. Ideally, I'm not cracking the bubbles because I don't think we really need a hand. I mean, at this point, I think we just need to beat, go face, and have fun.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I don't think that if we're going to force, I don't think we need to force here. I think that we can just use construct beats. We've got two artifacts on the board. We're going to end up with four. We can go into a Pithing Needle if we want to, and we can name, you know, Caracas or Flooded Strand again, or Tameo Flipside to keep the pressure on. A couple of different options here for sure.
Yeah, and if we get
Really
Teferi,
tanking
we
on
can also
this.
name Teferi. I mean, it just really depends on what we're going for. I imagine that we'll
That's
activate.
true. We are making a construct.
Mainly because I assume we'll probably make a construct on our turn and then grab a Pithing Needle or something, or a Mox Opal, or I don't know, whatever you want to get. Probably Pithing Needle.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
beat face, because at that point it would be a 5/5, I believe, right? Because we'll have five
Yes.
artifacts.
Yep. Yeah, substantial pressure coming from these constructs here. I think that we may be setting up for a Wrath of the Skies, though,
No, I
as
100%
well.
agree. We're definitely setting up for Wrath of the Skies, but we need to actually start making waves on Lunar
Yes,
side.
for sure. Opting not to crack those, Urza's Baubles here. Making
Makes
another
sense.
construct.
It makes sense. We want to make our construct big. We want to guarantee some damage. I mean, the defenses are down, so even if they do have the Wrath of the Skies, it is only sorcery speed, and they can only Wrath of the Skies for 2. I mean, which wipes out the board, but you still get 5 damage in, at the very least. So,
Yep, absolutely. Looks like we have our first round result in, by the way, on the side. Tappy on Omnitel, taking it 2-0 over Red Black Painter.
ooh. Unfortunately,
So,
Anders is
interesting.
going down to the low bracket. We'll see if we get to watch some matches down there in a wee bit. But for now, we'll be finishing up here with the Blue-Red Stomping Jeskai Wizards. I'm really
Absolutely.
curious to see what Saltymoles pulled in. I assume it is the Wrath of the Skies. That is what I would do as a former Jeskai player. But
Yep.
it really just depends. Oh, we got the Mishra's Bauble.
Mishra's
Interesting.
Bauble.
Not the needle.
Maybe because there's no valid target for the needle yet, we don't know what we need to play around, so we'd rather not expend it.
That is fair.
Makes sense.
That is fair. Looks
Incoming
like we're
Kappa.
capping. Now, did we cut all the forcibles? I think we did.
Maybe. I think that's definitely possible. And a Wrath of the Skies here. A Wrath of the Skies isn't going to do it for the
No,
Kappa.
it's not. You better have Wrath plus Swords to Plowshare, otherwise you're not
We need
going
Plow
anywhere.
here. Yep.
Or you
It's
could
specifically
Supreme
Swords to
Verdict, I guess.
Plowshares.
There's a choice of Supreme Verdict, assuming
Oh,
you kept
yeah.
it
We
in.
could Supreme Verdict or Terminus. That's true.
Yeah, Hardcast Terminus is going to be an interesting one on that one.
Yeah. See what we got. I think that you might be right in the Supreme Verdict. See what happens here.
But we will see.
Away.
We will see on what the plan is. We're going for the double white at the very least.
Yep. Wrath for 0, it looks like.
Oh.
Yep. Wrath for 0. So we're going to wipe the board. Except for that confounded Kappa.
You know, you can't do anything about Kappa right now. Unless you get that swords.
Nope.
I mean, you
Need
can
it.
Flame of Enor it, but you gotta have to pay a couple things. It's a little tricky.
Yeah, you're gonna need 7 mana to do that one.
Yeah,
So
it's a little tricky.
a little tough. A little tough.
It's
If we have a Swords
possible.
to Plowshares, though, if we have a Swords to Plowshares, we'll see. One of the things that I've noticed about this Jeskai Wizards deck is that it definitely suffers from the classic Jeskai. I
Oh,
can't
we brought in the
close the game.
Pyroblast.
Yep, Red Blast for blue cards.
Yeah, we did bring in the Pyroblast. We did forget about that. We did not discuss the fact that we
Yes.
need a Pyroblast for Papo. It is a very fair and valid card to have. But we'll see where we turn out with this. And we're gonna brainstorm.
Yep.
And
Brainstorm
see what we
Fetch,
find.
classic play pattern for this format.
I mean, you hope that there's a fetch. Otherwise, we could be locking ourselves.
We could be
That
locking
is
here.
a very, very classic move that I've done many times. Not proud of it, but we do that sometimes.
It's like a rite of passage, I think, into this format. Like you have to be brainstorm locked at least a certain number of times before you tell yourself, it's really bad when that happens.
Yeah, especially when you're brainstorm locked into like 3 lands that are basics and or your duels, and you're just like, I didn't like this. Why?
Yeah, you're like, I'm trying to brainstorm to hit a shuffler, not to continue to want to shuffle.
Oh, we're taking
Not have
lots
the
of life
ability.
here to get another cap out.
Yep. Kappa number 2. We might have a plow, might have a hard cast force. Thinking.
How much do we like the cards on top of our library? That's the real question.
Ooh.
Ah!
Turning this on top of the brainstorm.
You know,
Good
understandable.
stuff.
Understandable.
Good stuff. Affinity doesn't really have any ways to shuffle its deck outside of Urza's Saga, so if we want to put that Kappa somewhere closer to the top, hopefully, we're going to need a Saga.
We'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. I assume Flame of Nor to draw some cards?
I think Flame of an Order draw too. Yep.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Don't really need to destroy any artifacts.
The non-relevant target artifacts that don't exist on the board right now. And we're going to brainstorm too. Fair. Make efficient use of our mana here. I mean, we still have a fetch up, so we can always get rid of whatever we don't like.
Yep. Got our next match report here. We have Goose taking it on Blue-Red Corey Steel over JJ Assassin on Blue-White Blink. 2-0. Surprising. Little bit of an upset.
That is a bit of an upset, but it is an interesting result nonetheless. We're fetching more, I believe these are Mercadian Mask Islands. And or they might be from that same era. Maybe it's Urza's Destiny. I used to have these islands. That's why I know this. Feels like I'm playing my old Jeskai list from back in the day. I do also like the Mercadian Mass Brainstorms that are altered to be full-arted. What I'm seeing.
Big fan of those. Big fan of those.
Very nice.
I've seen a couple of different artists do those. I've seen one of the ones that I remember seeing a lot is Feline Longmore has a very specific way of altering the brainstorms. Shout outs to one of the OG High Tide players.
Yeah, that is an OG High Tide player if I've ever heard a name. They are one of the greats when it comes to High Tide.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Fantastic player. Wish her well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's See, looks like we've got
Oh
Thundertrap Trainer
no.
into 3 Fairy.
That is
We've got the
not something
pressure.
you'd like to see.
We have the pressure. And with a life total of 4 from those ancient tombs,
Yeah, that's gonna be a rough
you know
one.
this Thundertrap Trainer is truly positioned to go the
Yep,
distance.
we knew this was coming.
Force a negation. Ah, the clock is ticking.
We're on so those ancient tombs are a suicide mechanic now. If you want to have that, I would not recommend it. Do not tap your ancient tombs unless you really want to go to game 3. That is a
Well, I
personal
think that in that
choice.
situation, I think I can understand why we counter the Teferi, but looks like the
Oh, for
fourth
sure.
Aerolingus is
Fourth
going to get
Aerlingus for
there.
the win too. Ugh.
You know, would say we need to hold on to that Force of Negation, but Teferi makes it so that you can't cast it. So, you know, what can you do?
I mean, what can you do? Truly.
Moving into game 3, Affinity on the play, way stronger than Affinity on the draw for sure. Um, Kind of reminds me of Dredge, you know, in that when you're on the play, everything's great, everything's fantastic. When you're on the draw, things can fall apart at a moment's notice, right? So,
No, agreed.
I don't think
Agreed.
we're going to see too many changes in the boards here. I imagine we're going to maintain mostly the same kind of cadence here. I really am curious as to whether or not, you know, Affinity is going to bring in those dismembers. I really do think that those could be relevant in this matchup. But, you know, if we shaved down on Chalice in particular because we were on the draw, we can bring them back in here on the play. They are significantly stronger when you are on the play against the cantrip player. What are your thoughts?
I'm really curious to see what Luna actually brought in because we only saw one sideboard card, which is Force Negation, assuming they brought in all 3, which makes me question: did they bring in a Tormod's Crypt? Did they bring in any Disruptor Fluids?
Yep.
What is the
Yep.
decision tree they went down? Uh, we'll see. I'm assuming they cut the Force of Wills for the Force Negations, and that was all they changed. I mean, maybe they did a shaving somewhere here or there, but it'll
Yep.
be interesting to see what they bring in ultimately to decide where they go. I mean, Dismember is not a
Yeah.
bad card, assuming they're scared of Tameo. It
Yeah.
just ultimately depends on what they're looking at.
Yeah. I think that we also saw some of the Force of Wills also in game 1, right, where we had the Chalice on 1 and then we had Force of Will in response. So definitely didn't trim all of them. Probably shaved down on them down to 2. But yeah, especially also on the play, I think Force of Will is just really not good, right? Like I have a very strong opinion on this. I do not think that Force of Will is good on the play, so I'm hoping to see less of those personally.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's usually the first card you cut in most matchups for most cards that most decks that
yeah,
play Force of Will. So it'll be interesting to see where they come in. I wonder
yeah,
if there is some kind of shaving going on with Pinnacle, just because it's a
mhm,
tricky card to actually cast for not warp, assuming you
yeah,
can actually make the not warp cost. But
yep,
I mean, it really depends. I imagine we'll probably see maybe a disruptor flute or two. There'll probably still be the force negations.
yep.
I can't
I agree.
foresee Air Spellbomb actually coming in just because it doesn't sound like a good idea.
Mhm,
Most of the effects that Jeskai Wizards has actually doesn't care that you bounce their card. They want that to happen.
yep, for sure. All right, from the Wizards player, I think that any 3 drops that were boarded in, I think that Magus of the Moon is probably going to come out if it was brought in. That's kind of the only thing that I'm thinking of. And Lavinia is also significantly lower impact because you are not on the play. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. Looks like we
Yeah,
might
I
have had
imagine
another
it's
game
still the
finish up.
Rats. It's probably still the
Oh,
Rats, probably a dress down, and that's about
yep,
it. Maybe boarding in 3 or 4 cards. I mean, we did see the Fire Blast, so maybe um, those were 2 Pyro Blasts in place of the Spell Pierces, and then we had the Wrath plus the dress down and Force Negation for Force of Wills
yep,
in the grand
I
scheme
think
of
so.
things. But we'll see how it turns out. Looks like our players are mulliganing, figuring out what's going on. So hopefully we can start
Yep,
soon.
looks like
And
we are keeping 7s. And yeah, here we go. Keep. Chalice on 1 again. That turn 1. The best thing that they can be doing. Force of Will. Do we have a force backup, or are we just going to let this one get countered? Force backup, pitching, force.
mismatch force too. Always fun.
Pardon me.
Always fun.
All
Different
right.
arts. Different arts.
We are low resources for the Affinity player. See what happens. Tundra Pass.
I mean, assuming Affinity doesn't close it out fast, the Jeskai player can come back in. I mean, they do have 3 mana answers and 2 mana answers, so it just really depends on what they end up doing.
Yep. Thinking on a bobble. Might be cracking it here. Targeting your opponent. What do
That
we
makes
have?
sense. That's a Tameo.
Cameo.
Good thing we're on we're on one. Very
The
good thing.
first sighting of this card this entire set, honestly.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. We are playing 4 Tameos for as a reminder, but we
Yes.
apparently have not seen any of them.
Yeah.
Strand, we've seen that Strand many a times. Unfortunately, it was Pithy Needled many of times. So,
Yep.
could be good,
Might
could
be
be
able to
bad.
crack it this time. Seed of the Synod. And once we've got 2 artifacts on board, that Mox Opal is live on the 3rd, right? So
Yep. And we do have the
we
2
have
artifacts
access
right now, so
to
we are there.
good mana, pretty good mana if we draw into an opal.
Oh,
It's passing.
interesting choices are being made here. I assume there's a Flame of Anor coming soon.
I think we're going to see Flame of Anor for
No,
sure.
we really
Oh
fetched a
no,
basic.
interesting.
Oh no, we're making a better decision here. I assume we're going for the volcanic. Yep,
Yes.
we're making the
Yep,
better
Volcanic
decision here.
Island coming in. Yep.
I mean, it's totally possible they were thinking about doing a Wrath of the Skies for 0, and
Yeah.
sure,
Well, they still can. Yeah.
but maybe they
Got
want
tons of
more options.
planes.
They want more options, you know.
Yep, I think so.
Pro
Pro
Tour
Tour
Rewind,
Rewind.
yeah. That's always a fun one. I mean, you never fully
Oh,
resolved it, technically speaking. You still had your deck in hand, so I mean,
true.
it is one of those choices to be made.
All right, looks like we have another match result in Deep Sea versus Doombot. 2-1 Deep Sea's favor. Deep Sea on Omni Tel and Doombot on Blue Black Tempo.
I will
So
not
this is our
lie to you.
last game.
I thought this would be the match that goes by the quickest, but here we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
In the match that is taking technically the longest out of all of our games.
Yes, for sure.
As a reminder
It's all
for
good.
everyone watching, there's 75 minutes on these timers. And right now we're only about 45, 46 minutes in. So we're making good time. It's just very, very interesting to see where we're at.
We are making fantastic time today.
Wrath of the Skies for 0.
Just updating the updating some of the tournament math over here on the side. Looks like we've got another force. We do not want to lose this chalice.
I mean, it makes sense. Chalice is a very, very
Gonna happen.
powerful magic card.
Snapcaster can flashback that wrath for X equals 0.
Yeah, assuming
Later
we
on
have
in this
another one.
game, so we'll see. That is assuming we have another one.
Don't even need it.
There we
Don't
go.
even need it. Don't even need it.
The Seed of the Synod should be gone here.
Yes, I believe
So
so.
we
It's
want to
technically
point
an
that
artifact.
out. So before we get too far in this game, I'm gonna side our spotter. I'm just gonna let him know.
Yeah, that is a very interesting play interaction to talk about just because it specifies artifacts. And see the sign on it is an artifact land, and it does not care that the fact that it is also a land.
Correct. Tamio gonna flip here.
We found the first Tamio flip of the match. That is quite surprising, I won't lie. Now, this card can definitely run away with some games. I've done it many a times.
For sure. A lot of people, calling for this card to be banned with a ban announcement on 323. We'll see what happens. Personally, I don't think the metagame share quite warrants it. I think that the card is extremely powerful and in some cases very oppressive, but I think that this format has a lot of things like that, so it just kind of comes with the territory, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of sacred cows, so I mean, it just depends on what we're doing. And we have seen
sure.
what some people call the sacred cow going away with Entomb not too long ago, so we'll see. I'm just going to play another Thunder Trap, get some training going on. I think I spotted a Flame of Endor in one of that pile. Oh, no, that's the prismatic ending, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like we might have, I don't think that we missed on that, but reveal prismatic ending. Looks like the set is over.
Done and dusted. I can't believe it, but
Lunar is
Jeskai
going to
Wizards.
scoop there. Too far behind to make a comeback. So 2-1. Jeskai Wizards moving on to the next round. So we will go ahead and we'll update bracket. And yeah, fantastic round 1 from all of our players, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.
And thank you for everyone for watching. We'll have our next round hopefully up in a wee bit, and you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.